Good evening, folks, and welcome to the upper tier. You are listening to Thursday Tier Talk with Niall and me, the Dazzler. Don't forget, like and subscribe, everybody. We have a great show for you tonight. Hit that like button. We're going to talk Champions League. We're going to talk results. We're going to do a Premier League preview. We're going to do Beat the Bookie. And we got a few other little surprises. And we got a few other little surprises going on in the background as well. Everybody, come on down.
I can take solace in the fact that if that never happens to me, that this podcast will continue. That's the good thing anyway. I love that. Fair play. Well done. Well done. I like that.
Thanks, pal.
I like that.
Thanks.
Well done. Yeah, well, as Darren said, we are going to be talking about Champions League. What a disaster for Premier League.
Jesus Christ, man. It was like the day after tomorrow, wasn't it?
Oh, it was unbelievable. I actually looked at last night and I was thinking, that 1-0 loss to Galatasaray don't seem too bad now.
Like, at this stage, I would have said you were up there with the best of the two results, like.
Yeah,
do you know? Crazy.
Yeah, big up, Baz. How are you, pal?
Here we go. Hang on.
Good.
Captain Caramel, just getting off my fingers.
Bren's very impressed with your opening salvo there. Your opening salvo. Do you like that?
Thank you, Bren.
So we are going to be talking Premier League as well. We're going to be getting Darren's thoughts on the FA Cup draw as well. We had Mark's on Monday as well. We are going to be talking about one John Obi Mikel and what he's been talking over the last few days. What else have I got here? We've got our usual League of Ireland.
Don't do drugs, kids. Drugs are bad. Don't do drugs, kids.
Absolutely.
Now he's gone for
Champions
real.
League. Yeah.
There.
Talk to me about Champions League. I'm back. There you go.
Champions League was, I don't know where you want me to start. Like, I suppose I can start with Barcelona because they cost me money in two of my bets. I have to say, I thought Newcastle put in a stellar performance. I thought they were a little bit unlucky not to come out with the victory. And I think if there's something that's come out of it from the game, it's that England have found themselves their next left back in the boy Lewis Hall. I thought he was phenomenal. I thought he was absolutely superb on the night. Did a great job. Has been all season, let's be honest. Himself and Livramento, I still think when, like, Reece James and Cucurella are two of the best fullbacks in the league for me. But when you consider that Chelsea sold Lewis Hall and Tino Livramento to Newcastle, you're like, look at the quality.
And dare I say, now play Reece James in midfield. But we'll highlight
from time to time. Yeah, absolutely.
Like the other night.
Like, you're looking at it and you're going, my God, like what kind of depth and quality they could have had if they'd have kept the two boys, Malo Gusto does not hold a candle to Tino Livramento. And on the opposite side, I do like the boy Hato, but he's not living in the same league as Lewis Hall is at the minute, Spurs, I thought Atletico Madrid, 100%. 100% Aces. Spurs, I thought they were the bet of the week. I posted this into our group, obviously. Atletico Madrid were 2-1 minus a goal. 2-1. That is free money in anyone's language. I was on it. I was on it. I had it in the group chat before the game.
You said it to me at 3-0 and then it finishes 5-2.
And I was like, this is like, I had it in a couple of my bets. I just thought it was so good. I gotta say, how the boy Tudor is still in a job is beyond me. Like, absolutely.
The question is, how was he there in the first place? Forget about whether he's still
100%. Who's the guy that came from Arsenal to Spurs? The sporting director. Has he been sent in undercover to finish them? Is this what this is? Is this I'm going to get them relegated, lads, and then we can,
fans coming out saying they're missing Daniel Levy.
And listen, let's not forget, Daniel Levy knew what he was doing here. This lad Vinoy,
Daniel Levy probably would have done something in January, wouldn't he? He wouldn't have let it get to this, I'd say.
He wouldn't have let it get it to this, and he would have never ever gone down the route of an Igor Tudor. Not a chance.
Yeah.
Not a chance.
There, we got the full name, Vinoy. Absolutely. We just call him Vinoy here. We're not getting into that.
Can you just go back to his name for a second? We'll just call him Sham. See that bit at the end? Sham. That's what we're going to call him.
It's Vinoy, and then it's my Wi-Fi password.
It's just shambolic. What do you think yourself of Liverpool?
Dreadful. You say, if you didn't say my match reaction, I just buried them again. They were horrific.
Yeah, I thought. Listen, they looked a bit toothless. There was a lot of guys didn't show up on the night. Obviously, Wirtz is back from the injury, which is great. I'm not sure if I'd have lobbed him straight in. I think I'd have probably brought him off the bench and fed him into it a little bit that way. But like,
he got 20 minutes at the weekend as well. So
yeah, he did. But I still think I'd have slow played him a little bit more. We know Galatasaray is quite a combative place to go. It's always very physical. It'll be 100 mile an hour. And like at the best of times, Wirtz isn't that guy. So to do it when, he's just on the way back from injury, I thought was a strange one. Arsenal flattered to deceive, I don't think it's a great Leverkusen team. I think Arsenal have beat them in the return leg, but Arsenal
the boy up front was very impressive for Leverkusen, the young lad, the 19-year-old. Can't remember his name now. He kept on hitting them on the break. Big leggy lad.
He did. Yeah, that's right. He held the ball. I'll tell you his name now in a minute. He held the ball up quite well, and as you said, he brought guys into the game very well. He
was really good at spinning off players into space and taking balls as well.
Coffin.
I think that was him already.
Yeah, it's Michel Coffin. It was a double barrel. Now, listen, kid knew what he was doing, held the ball up well, ran the channels well, tried to bring other guys in, and for a kid of his age, did a pretty good job against one of the best defenses in Europe,
Yeah, he gave Gabriel quite a time, I have to say, and Saliba, so occupied them really, really well.
I couldn't really believe what was coming through on the phone with the Real City game. I was like, because I looked at it to begin with, I had a look at the two teams, and then I saw 1-0, and hey Keith, I saw 1-0 Valverde, and I was like, oh well, Fetty's got a goal there. 2-0 Valverde again. 3-0 Valverde again. I was like, what am I watching here, lads? I don't think Valverde's ever scored a hat-trick for Madrid, has he?
Well, if he did, he didn't do it in the Champions League anyway, that's for sure.
And there was
certainly not in the knockout stage.
There was a beautiful moment when he scored that third goal, which was a welcome to the Champions League, Marquetti. Like, that was just... They're three great goals. Like, if any striker in Europe scores the three of them, you think, wow. The fact that the guy isn't a striker, he spent a lot of the time this season playing as a right back because of the injuries to Danny Carvajal and Trent. So he's played there. He's obviously an exceptional midfielder. He's a huge leader for Madrid. Really, really is a huge leader. Put in a sterling performance. I thought he was everywhere. Even late on in the game after scoring a hat-trick, City were up at one end of the pitch, and who's the guy on the floor dragging the ball between someone's legs while he's lying on the ground? Fede Valverde are just going, this guy's, he's really right at the top of the level. And then PSG just blitzed Chelsea. They just blitzed them. Like, for a lot of the game, Chelsea are in it. And they just, when it goes 3-2, you think, right, just keep it there. Just keep it 3-2, get it back to the bridge. You're only a goal down. You've two away goals. I know away goals don't count anymore, but you've two on the way on the bounce. Just get it in and stuff like that. And then they just start to pull away, when there's the pace and the power and the speed. And PSG did look good, Do you know what
it was when I was listening to that, and I know Ian alluded to the fact that maybe Palmer's looking like he does want to go to Man United the other night, But what I did look at was I kind of felt something that we had spoke about a lot is that, like, they haven't had that quality of experience of player to grab that match and have people around them and say, listen, got to calm things down here, got to get back at it, keep it nice and level here and stuff, instead of it just unloading. At one stage, Parma missed a chance, and the next thing they get down the other end and score. It was mental. And listen, I think got the goal, didn't he?
That's what happens when you play against these top teams that can do that to you at any given moment. It's got to be about in-game management and how you manage the situation and the time and how things are going on and stuff like that. Like, I don't know if you remember this. That good Dubs team over the last, in the past kind of 5-6 years that were winning all Irelands, right? They had a signal I don't know whether you remember this, because you might watch any guy. They're the signalling. What they do is somebody would take the ball out to the halfway line. Then they'd stand at the halfway line, they'd put up the fist like this, right? And the fist basically meant we're not going to try and score for the next couple of minutes. It's all about ball retention. So there was no energy, but it's game management. And they would shift the ball around and pass it and pass it and pass it. And then somebody would make the switch and boom, they go and score. But the point was never what they wanted. The point was to control the tempo, to be in charge. And I think at times there's a big lack of that in football at the minute, where, you know, if we're not being attacked, we feel like we have to try and score. You don't. There's no necessity to score goals, you know, unless you're behind. Teams at times aren't being patient enough and need to maybe, you know, work through a situation where possession is 9/10 of the law. If we have the ball, they ain't scoring. And you build waves of that rather than go up, come back, go up, come back, go, you know. And that leads to, because then what happens is on any given day, depending on how a team finishes, you can be either absolutely brilliant and beat a team by 3 or 4, or if you don't hit your straps that day and the other team takes a couple of chances, you can lose a game that you've dominated, which is crazy. If you look at some of the statistics at the minute in the league, for teams winning games with a massive lack of possession, it's phenomenal. Like, there's more away wins in the Premier League this season than I think any other season to date. And it's teams going and playing the low block and soaking it up, bounce, boom, boom, right? But the other team doesn't have to get that far up on the pitch in order to give that much space away. Play it slower. Let's step as a unit. We don't have to go in you know, in pockets like that and leave gaps and spaces open everywhere. Teams are a bit gung-ho at times, you know, and I think when you look at what happened in the Champions League, like between those 3 games, English teams have conceded 13 goals. Like, that is nuts.
I did notice looking across at the other night as well, when the panic started to set in as well, you know, when you go 2-0 down, 3-0 down, whatever it is, and the panic sets in, they just abandon formation. And you just have, I seen it even in the Liverpool game. At one stage, I had 5 Liverpool players within 5 yards of each other, and the far side of the pitch was empty.
And you're chasing the ball to the corner flag, and you're like, lads, what are we doing here?
But not only that, they're pinging the ball to Victor Osimhen, who's in acres of space. And there's 5 lads looking at each other.
If anyone's going to hurt you with space, it's that lad.
My God. How we got out of there 1-0, I'll never know. I'll never know how we got out of there 1-0.
What do you think of the goal that wasn't?
Look, we see them, like, when there's a handball, there's a handball. It just, you know, there's not a whole lot. I know you can argue maybe that it comes in there and there's not a whole lot you can do about it, stuff like that. There was talk that it also came off a player before it went in, which is supposed to apparently negate the handball. I don't know. But look,
the touch negates it. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
if it goes straight from foot to hand,
the thing about it, and I said it on the watch along when I was watching it, we're waiting constantly on balls to go in off players' arses and everything and stuff like that. And that's not what we're supposed to be about.
No.
You know what I mean? And that's what really concerns me at times, where we're up in arms about whether we got that decision or this decision. We were fucking hopeless on the night. I buried every one of them in the match reaction. Like, you know, I said it at halftime, I said, Marmadashvili's our man of the match straight away. I mean, he did really, really well. And like, do you know what's starting to irate me now? The protection. We love Mo Salah. Mo Salah is a legend of the club. There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
But the protection he's being afforded by content creators at the moment, absolutely protected. Dross after dross after dross performance is just unbelievable. To the point where he got hooked for Jeremy Frimpong. You know what I mean? And you're just looking at it and you're going, this could potentially be one of the saddest endings to a relationship in football if this guy goes in the summer and he bails out like this. You know?
I spoke to somebody today about it, and he'd be a pretty big Liverpool fan, and the 2 things he did say was, he said, like, Salah for me, his words, Salah for me, he said, is an easy target. He said, I know he hasn't been great. He said, but if you look at his goal involvements, they're still quite high in league comparison, you know. I think he's 6th for GA in the league or whatever it is. Something like that. And he said the other thing is there just seems to be certain players who are untouchable when it comes to criticism. Because especially earlier on in the season, when things weren't going well at Liverpool, there was a huge emphasis on how bad Konate was. Now, Konate at that stage was in the am I signing, am I not re-signing thing. So this was all heightened by it. But at that stage, Van Dijk was probably as comfortable for most things as Konate was. Do you know?
Did you see Konate in the Galatasaray game?
I didn't see the whole game.
Oh my God.
I didn't see the whole game.
Absolute bozo. You want to see this? You know he went to clear the ball rolling across the box and the air kicked it. He nearly did a Pele kick. You want to say he absolutely totally missed the whole ball. Like, this is a guy at the moment who's sitting across the table from Hughes and Edwards telling them he's worth $300,000 a week. Like,
well, he's obviously looking down the road at Man City and going, well, Mark A, he's getting it. Do you know?
Yeah.
And in order for you to bring someone in and look at Mark A, he's going to cost you 50 mil and the wages. So just give me the wages, don't hang on. Do you know?
No thanks. Thanks, you're grand.
You're happy to see the back of him. You're gone. Good luck, good night, God bless. Turn off the lights, how are you?
Absolutely.
And does the boy Leone get the spot, or do you have to go and buy?
Don't know. I haven't thought about it. Imagine we'd have to go and buy. I'm not too sure yet.
Because there's still quite a lot of balancing to do in that squad.
We've been having. There's been a lot of talk about Van de Ven and a lot of talk about Murillo. Off Forest.
The boy Xhaka is done as well. Don't forget now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So that's 65 to 70, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, it sounded like Robbo was probably going to go at the end of the season as well. So
I think obviously he probably would have liked to go to Spurs in January, but it was just a thing that the club weren't happy to let him go because they couldn't get the replacement in and stuff like that.
Maybe it was a godsend that it didn't happen, to be honest.
Well, I think it probably helps Spurs if he's there, you know, because they certainly look like they're lacking a lot of things, and leadership is one of them. At the minute, I read something today that Christian Romero is going to be made available in the summer, and he'll be leaving the building. Which
but the likelihood is he'll probably leave the league, though, will he? Can't imagine a lot of unless it's going right down a level, depending on what you regard his level at, though.
Christian Romero.
Yeah.
What you mean? Like, what level are you talking about now?
I think he'll go off to a team in Europe or something like that. I don't think he'll stay in the Prem.
Yeah, but if he was to stay in the Prem, like, do you not think he could play in any of the top teams?
I don't think many of the top teams would be interested in him, to be honest. I think he's too much hassle. Let's be honest. If you look at this season, if he's not injured, he's red carded.
No, but the link actually here is quite funny because it's quite ironic because if you've ever seen a Simeone player, it's Romero, and that's apparently where he's off to. He's apparently off to Atletico Madrid, that just fits. Like,
that's a marriage.
That is just
that's a marriage.
Unbelievable. Yeah. That's unity at its finest.
Yeah,
you know.
But that's but what I'm saying is, I couldn't see him going to an Arsenal. I couldn't see him going to a City.
I don't think Arsenal going make the Hincapié deal.
I can't imagine him being a player for you guys either. Would you? Man United? Don't think so. He's an awful lot. He's a lot of hassle. Like,
is he a lot of hassle, or is he? And I'm only asking this: is he a guy who likes to win and struggles with what he deals with at Spurs because of the level? Because don't forget, this lad's won a couple of, he's won a World Cup. Like, he's now mugged this lad a Copa America. He's won trophies. He's won a Europa with Spurs. Like, he's a good defender.
But sometimes we know with some players they win things in spite of. I mean, there's plenty. You could argue about a lot of players in that squad and stuff. I wouldn't say he's won stuff, and I wouldn't say the teams that he's played for
that have won stuff have won it in spite of. He certainly has put his best foot forward at times for those teams, for Argentina and for Spurs. Now, I know at times there are failings, where we see something like the red card and stuff like that. But also at times this year, he was the guy that was bailing Spurs out at the other end of the pitch, don't forget. I think he's got 8 goals this season, and they were all worth, if you look at the goals he scored this season for Spurs, right? He got the double up at Newcastle. I think he's probably saved them about 10 to 12 points, which could have meant at this stage, these could have been dead and buried, only for the kind of leadership he's shown at both ends of the pitch. Now, far be it from me to say, look what's around him at Spurs. There's a lot of lads at Spurs that aren't singing from the hymn sheet there. This ain't happening. Unfortunately, this is not happening. And listen, I've said this before. My number one target in midfield is Elliot Anderson. That's who I want. But the deal is apparently done already. There's nobody getting in the way to stop it. And apparently he's already done and dusted the City. It's a foregone conclusion. The conversation's been had. It's, wages and stuff like that have been agreed. It's just the fee with Forest.
Also, indications this week as well. It doesn't look like Pep's getting out of town either.
Maybe not.
By the looks of things, so. See,
maybe not.
Maybe that's a big selling point for players when they come. I know it's City as well, but
listen, and I don't necessarily think they'll have to sell it, but it could be a point where we weren't sure where we were going to go, but now all of a sudden we know he's
no, but you know all the talk about Maresca and stuff like that now. But if you hear that Pep is staying, that's another one where you look at that and you go, I fancy that just that little bit more now, kind of thing.
100%.
Because most players would want to play for Pep, wouldn't they? I think.
Absolutely. And then you look at the likes of what they've brought in recently. They are what I would describe building again. You've got the boy O'Reilly that plays in the left back. I think he's a great footballer. They brought in Aït-Nouri. He hasn't had the best of seasons, but taking his time to get used to it. Donnarumma. You've got Gahey gone in there. Semenyo gone in there. Marmouche. Cherky. Doku. So there's a lot there. I think centre midfield is somewhere they've struggled, City. And I think Elliot Anderson could really plug that Rodri gap that has been missing for the last 18 months. I know he's come back, but for me, he certainly hasn't come back as the Rodri we know and seen before and stuff like that,
Would you expect Rodri to go back to Spain?
I know Madrid are heavily linked with him, aren't they, Real? They would love to make it happen. And I just don't know what they have to spend to get that done. What are City insisting on, and is that where?
Having said that, you never know. Sometimes when you come back off a long layoff like that, it takes you a season to find your rhythm to come back. Because we've seen it even with Van Dijk.
I was going to say we've seen it with Van Dijk, 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
So he could be the same Rodri next season, maybe.
He could.
What's your predictions here as well? Because obviously there's a lot of talk about the coefficient and all, and the 5th spot and all, and we are probably staring down the barrel of potentially, I would say, 3 Spanish teams going through. I think Real, you could argue, are probably through. Atletico are probably through. I'd imagine Barca.
Yeah,
I would have thought
they will. They will. 100%. I fully expect Arsenal and Liverpool to go through.
Okay.
But I think the other English teams are out. I think the only real hope from the others is City for me, actually. Even 3-0 down, I think they're still... I think that first goal is important. I think the first goal is important. If they get the first goal, I think it's game on. I think if Madrid can hold them out for a little while and maybe nick something all of a sudden, it could be a real tough night at the office. But I do think they're the other possibility,
I had a slide done up all right, but I didn't put it into the show. But Liverpool are the only club in England that have ever turned over a 3-goal deficit in Europe.
Well, there you go now.
The Barcelona game. So there you go. So it is going to be a tough one, It is going to be a tough one for them. But you never know. You get an early goal, something happens, and all of a sudden,
I don't think it's implausible to think they can't get back into it, I think it's less likely, but I still think there's a possibility it'll happen.
Yeah. So give us you're going with Liverpool and Arsenal to go through. I presume you're staying with PSG, are you?
I'm going Liverpool, Bayern, Athletic, Barca, Arsenal, Bodo, PSG, and Real.
Yeah, sure.
Bodo with a super win as well, man.
Yeah. We did stress it. Remember, when the draw was done, we did turn around and say, those Portuguese players may not fancy the Arctic Circle. So
no, and listen, they'll have to go back to Sporting and stuff in the return leg. But
yeah, I think going from the cold to the heat might be a little bit easier because they've demonstrated that this season as well. Than going from the heat or whatever heat there is in Portugal to like the Arctic. You know what I mean?
It's cold up there.
Different. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's cold up there.
Yeah, right. Let's get into the Prem preview. Obviously, some really good games this weekend. Kicking off then with Burnley versus Bournemouth.
Yeah, listen, Burnley they're doing everything they can to make this, to try and hang in there and make it believable that they're going to stay up. But I just think Burnley they're right at the edge for me. I think West Ham, obviously, and Forest and Tottenham and Leeds are fighting for that last spot. But for me, I think Burnley are down. I think because a little bit of the pressure is off, they're turning in some performances, but I still think there's a massive lack of quality there. I'll go Bournemouth here. No, I won't. I'll go the draw. I'll go 2-2.
2-2. Sunderland, Brighton.
Yeah, Sunderland.
Really disappointed last weekend.
Really disappointing. Massively disappointing in the cup to go out like that. I think the guys would have looked at it and said, "There's a possibility, get a decent run going and stuff like that." And Sunderland fans would have loved a good cup run. So yeah, I don't think they'll be impressed with that. But a decent win the last day out at Leeds. Back at home, I find it difficult to back against them because I think at the Stadium of Light, the 12th man and stuff like that, the fans are phenomenal. And I'm just going to go Sunderland to nick it 2-1.
Were you surprised at Hurstler's comments the other day with Arsenal?
Not surprised. Like
he seemed extremely frustrated, didn't he?
He was, but like if that shocked him, if that surprised him, I'm even more surprised. Like we've seen this happen week on week and how they've played the game. There is a degree of anti-football about it. They've become, what would I call it? In the NFL, they have offense, they have defense, and do you know what the third thing they have is? Do you know what it's called?
What, the kicking team? Is it the?
No, it's called special teams.
Yeah,
that's what they call it. So you have offense, you have defense, and you have special teams. And Arsenal are a team that don't have a great offense, have a really good defense, and have a phenomenal special teams. A setup, and that's like if that wins them the league, are we gonna say, oh, they didn't deserve it? No, because the team with the most points wins the league. That's how it works. By any means necessary. Have they played free flowing, sexy football? No. Does that matter? Not really, because this is a results-based business. And we talk about it all the time.
I suppose if the commentary is coming from a neutral, it matters because you want to be entertained. The commentary, it doesn't matter. Like if you're an Arsenal fan and you win the Premier League, you're not going to give a shit. You're just going to win the trophy. But I think if you're watching Arsenal games week in, week out, and like you're not an Arsenal fan or you're not a United fan or you're not the team they're playing against, fans say, who are they playing this weekend? They're playing Everton, right? So like I'm not an Arsenal fan, I'm not an Everton fan. But if I watch that game, I want to see some football.
I think if you're not an Arsenal fan and you're not an Everton fan, you don't watch that game. Do you know? Because I think it's gonna be like a fucking wet rag. It's not gonna be free-flowing, high-pressing tempo. It won't be like that at all. It's two teams that
But the
love
thing
to
about it
defend.
is, but the thing about it is, it hasn't been all season. I mean,
No,
they've showed glimpses of it in Europe, especially in that league phase. They were very, very good.
Yeah, they were,
You know?
absolutely. But it hasn't been in the league at all this season. Like, look at how many times they've gone out and absolutely smashed someone.
Is
Like,
it something that you think is going to continue because of how the league, the gap in the league has kind of condensed a bit? Okay, you take Burnley and Wolves out of the equation.
Do you know what I think? And I actually think, and I'm going to say this and give Mikel Arteta and Arsenal their flowers on this. I think they were very clever in how they attempted to win the league. Because I think Mikel Arteta probably has an idea that I don't have the front five to go and blow teams out of the water week after week. Like, if we look at some of the really good teams that have won the league over the last few years, right? Liverpool and City. It's generally been, Salah scoring a bag load of goals, Haaland scoring a bag load of goals, Kevin De Bruyne, Phil Foden, Sadio Mane. It's kind of been like that. Yes, there was a tightening of the belts at the back from Liverpool, adding in, with the additions of Van Dijk and Alisson and stuff like that. But I think Arsenal have gone, you know what, that's not how we're going to be able to do this. We can't win the league title like that because we don't have that firepower. And they've decided we're going to do it on a solid defense, a really, really good defense in fairness. And we're gonna score as many goals as we can from set pieces, be it free kicks, corners, throw-ins, everything, and just apply a huge amount of pressure that way. And then when we have the ball, we can knock it about and knock it square because we don't need to do too much with it because we're already going with the best defense in the league. Yeah. So I think it's clever.
You know, folks, just to let you know, folks, in Europe, Aston Villa obviously winning 1-0 earlier away to Lille, but Nottingham Forest have just gone 1-0 down at home to Midtjylland, and Crystal Palace and Larnaca is still 0-0.
And they were two heavily priced favourites, Forest and...
Midtjylland have just gone 1-0 up. And in fairness, Forest had a couple of really good chances first half with Morgan Gibbs wide as well. So we'll see how that plays out. We will be here for the full times anyway. But a big win for Villa away from home and Lille 1-0. And they were saying, I think, that if Emery was going to win this one, this would be his fifth one. And it'd be 5 European trophies with 3 different teams.
That's right, impressive. So you get 3 with Sevilla, obviously. It'd be phenomenal. And listen, it's definitely not out of the realms of possibility. Like, this lad could 100% win this.
Absolutely, 100%.
It's a decent win away from home tonight. Lille aren't a terrible team. They've got a couple of players there that you would look at and say, oh yeah, that's a decent guy. He's a decent guy. Now, they do tend to rest a little bit come these league games, these Europa League Conference. They don't seem to play the same team week to week in Liga as they do in the Europa. So that's played a little part of it, I think, as well.
Yeah, possibly. Arsenal-Everton.
Arsenal-Everton. This is gonna be a tea rag for me. It's gonna be wet, damp, and just nothing exciting about it whatsoever. It probably, if I look at all the games on that list, it's probably the one game I go, do you know what? I ain't watching that. The only game I see as bad as that is that Burnley Bournemouth game, the early game.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only other one where I go, these two lads will be happy enough to come out of here at 1-0 and nothing too expansive, no real attacking play, and so no, I won't be overly interested. I think we know what Arsenal are going to do. They'll suffocate Everton, and they'll beat them. I'm going to go Arsenal 2-0.
Yeah, interesting. Big up, Phil. Hope you're good, pal. Chelsea Newcastle should be a good game, shouldn't it?
Should be. I think Chelsea are going to be a little bit wounded after the other night, and rightly so. I think they'll be wounded. I think they'll have Tuesday on their minds with Champions League. He will...
No, Phil, he said done deal for City, not United. He said United isn't happening, didn't he?
It's a done
City.
deal for City, Phil.
City, yeah.
City, man, yeah. No, I believe Chelsea will make some changes. They'll rest lads. And on the back of that, I think Newcastle will probably have... they'll be a little more accepting of their fate, would you say? I think they'll know we would have probably needed to beat Barca at home in order to get through this tie. Going to Camp
I think drawing 1-1 with Barca, though, is like they'd be plucky enough over that, wouldn't they?
Listen, they'll be delighted with the result, but I think in order to get through the tie, they'll have understood
they would have
wanted
to bring something with them. Yeah,
had to bring something with them. They had to. And I think going there 1-1, there's only really going to be one outcome, isn't there? Like Barcelona beat them in the Spotify and stuff like that next week. So I imagine Newcastle will play a bit more than Chelsea will, which could lead to this game being tighter than it needs to be for Chelsea. Certainly not for me, because I'm happy for Chelsea. You don't
think Chelsea be writing off the PSG game in the same type of manner?
No, I think they'll
5-2 down.
I think coming home, they'll think if we can get the first goal at home and make it 5-3, we're in it.
But it's unlikely they'll keep clean sheet against PSG, would they, even at the bridge?
It's unlikely they'll keep a clean sheet if they played the two fucking keepers on the night.
But that's what I mean. Then they'd need 4.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's. I think it's different going away to Barca in the second leg and coming home to the bridge. Like they can't roll over and be tickled by PSG. They've got to at least beat them and try and do something,
Have a go kind of
thing. I think Newcastle's attempt to have a go was the other night and they did great, but they only got the draw, so makes life a bit difficult for them. I expect
big up Greg.
Hey Greg.
Chelsea done and dusted.
Yeah, I don't think it's far away. I think the first goal will say whether it's going to be a game or not. Because obviously if Chelsea get the first goal, it might get buzzy for a little while. But I think if PSG score the first goal, it's, as you said, it's knock the lights off on your way out, lads. Don't let that door hit you.
You're going to need like a masterclass Palmer, Cachet. You get like what happened in the World Club Cup final kind of thing.
Yeah, and you're going to need everything to go one direction for you. And sometimes it happens. Sometimes it doesn't. I expect Chelsea to come out like an absolute train. And with that, because of that, I think they'll rest at the weekend. And I think we'll probably see something akin to a draw at the weekend where two teams just don't want to get beaten. I want to keep the ball moving ahead of their Tuesday and Wednesday Champions League games.
Dangerous as well, isn't it, with the balance of the top 4, top 5 thing at the moment as well?
I think so, because every game is an opportunity to pick up points and put yourself up there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wouldn't be looking past too much, if I'm honest now, if I'm Chelsea or Newcastle.
More chance of Spurs going through.
I don't think there is.
Romero rocks up with a hat-trick. I'll have to go hiding, won't I?
Imagine Spurs 3-0, Romero with a hat-trick. Imagine that.
I won't be on next week.
That ain't happening. Because again, unless they're playing two keepers on the night, and even then I worry with the performance that some of the boys put in.
West Ham City.
Yeah, West Ham City. Listen, City like going to that stadium. Haaland always gets a couple there. He'll be a bit wounded after the other night. He was anonymous. And I think we'll probably see him come out and show his teeth on Saturday. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get a brace or maybe even 2 or 3. I think City will put West Ham to the sword here.
Interesting. They'll need to as well. That's the Saturday evening one, so Arsenal will have played before them against Everton.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah,
that'll be quite a big gap looking into that West Ham game. Right into Sunday, Palace Leeds.
I never ever like when teams play Thursday night. You know this, I've spoken about it so many times before. They've put a good team out tonight, Palace, and have struggled to get over the line against Larnaca. It's still 0-0. You know, there is
90 plus 1, 90 plus
they're in
1 at the
90
moment.
plus 1. You've brought on Mateta and Jeremy Pino and stuff like that. Like, this is a good opportunity. Larnaca aren't a great side, you know, and now at the weekend they're gonna have to go and rest a couple of guys. Like, I imagine he starts Mateta at the weekend, which keeps Strand Larson free for the game next Thursday and stuff like that. So this is a little bit of an opportunity missed for Palace. Leeds could capitalise on that and get something at Selhurst.
Do you really? I suppose they're travelling to
they're travelling
Athens
away
as well.
Yeah.
So that I have that in mind as well, because I was starting thinking if you're playing Sunday and then Thursday, but obviously they'll be travelling on the Wednesday. I'd imagine. Greg shit was a draw.
They'll travel over probably the Wednesday morning. Although the one thing I will say is Larnaca is Greece. It's a little bit further than some of the European. Like, it'll be 3.5 to 4 hours nearly.
Yeah.
And you want to get there early enough that you've time to get a decent stretch and recovery in before testing out the pitch maybe the night before and bits and bobs. So it won't be. It's not an easy trip.
And obviously with everything going on down beyond that region and all, you know, traveling to these places now is just probably a little bit more awkward than normal.
100%. 100%.
Man United, Aston Villa.
Listen,
Thursday night game.
I think the Thursday night, and Villa had enough flush out there tonight. They had pretty much everything they could have. They'd Sancho, Buendia, they'd Onana, they'd Rodgers, they'd Watkins, they'd Konsa, Martinez. So he had his first ranked team out there.
How do you see it playing out? Could you see them dropping out of the top 5 and their pathway is winning this?
Possibly. Yeah, possibly. I actually think at the minute they've probably got as good a chance of winning this as they do of holding on for a top 5 space.
Cardigan start. I'm adding dropping Buemo on Sunday. That's a take.
Okay then.
But I don't think we're agreeing with that, are we? No,
absolutely not.
No, I would assume the power and pace of Buemo against Villa is what you would want.
And listen, I think if anything's going to happen, maybe he takes Sesko out and he plays him in Buemo and Ahmad on the right, Cunha on the left, and Bruno in behind with the boy Sesko to come off the bench then if needs be, if it's tight and whatever. I think United will get over the line. And I'm going to say 2-1.
2-1. Forest Fulham.
Again, the Thursday nights, I don't like it. I do not like it. And Fulham are in decent form at the minute. Fulham, are picking up some wins at the minute.
Poor again in the cup, though.
Poor in the cup, but again, when you make changes, man, it's hard to keep the ball rolling like that. Yeah, he's off on it, Greg. He really is. He really is. And mind you, myself and Niall don't mind an L share bag, do we, Niall?
No, absolutely not.
It's probably not the same share bag he's at, but ours have Maltesers and mini eggs in them.
You gotta take the day out and just have share bag.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But I think Fulham probably get something out of this at the weekend. I think they'll make it real difficult. And again, I think Forest will have one eye on what they've got to do going to Midtjylland and Denmark, A
full-time Palace 0-0.
Yeah.
So that they won't be overly happy about that, having to travel out there on a 0-0. And Forest, of course, 1-0 down. I think it's more or less done as well at this stage. Acer's going with Forest 2-1. Don't know about that. Liverpool Spurs.
I think this is probably going to be one of Liverpool's easier games this season.
A lot of players missing.
For you guys or for Spurs?
For Spurs.
Yeah, I think the squad is, it's on its knees at the minute. It really, really is. With suspensions and injuries and, I fear for Spurs.
Am I right? Is Romero out and Mickey Van de Ven?
I think so, yeah.
That's
So it leaves you with Dragusin and Danso and probably Pellegrini as a back three. And then as you put Pellegrini into the back three, it then leaves you light in midfield. And it's just I'm going to go in and have a look.
You'll have Archie Garay playing about 10 positions.
Yeah, this is the thing, and the kid's done so well this year. He really, really has. But it makes things so difficult.
Where I'd be slightly confident in the win. Acers, I certainly wouldn't be confident in Liverpool winning to 0.
No, and like here's the thing. I don't think it'll matter whether it's to 0 or not, because I imagine by the time Spurs get a goal, Liverpool will have 4 in the back.
Hopefully.
Do you know? So I don't.
Be nice for a change. Isn't it mad how we, the way we talk about the condensing of the Prem and stuff like that, and then we go, I don't think I've had a game this season where I've looked at it and I went, that's 3 points.
So, from what I'm being told here in fantasy football, select replacement. From what I'm being told here in fantasy football, Romero has a 75% chance of playing, which means it's a head injury he's carrying. It's not a card situation, because if I click on Mickey Van de Ven is suspended until such and such a date.
Yeah.
But Romero's not. So you'll probably get Romero, I would imagine. Does that help the situation, or I'm not sure? That could make it easier or harder, depending on it could. You don't know which version is going to show up really there. Van de Ven suspended until March 22nd.
You're going Liverpool fairly relaxed.
I'm going Liverpool 4-1.
4-1.
Yeah.
Brentford Wolves Monday night.
Yeah, like Wolves have been putting in some great performances recently. I find it very difficult to back against Brentford at home. I just think at that G-Tech Stadium, they're a real good team. That's Midtjylland have just beaten Forest. But I think, but it's a concussion. So I didn't realise that, Keith. Didn't realise it was concussion. I find it hard to back against Brentford at that G-Tech. So I think I'll just go Brentford 3-2.
Fair enough.
A few goals, 3-2. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good. Right. Give me your thoughts. FA Cup draw.
Yeah. Again, a little bit put out.
Were the balls heated up? What do you reckon?
I don't know. It's strange. Obviously West Ham got the win in that last game. So you got West Ham and Leeds. Do West Ham
unbelievable penalties as well.
Well, they were good, and Qatar was quite brave really and stuff like that. And obviously City and Liverpool tied around. I think Chelsea will host Port Vale and Arsenal will beat Southampton comfortably. I think you can toss a coin between Leeds and West Ham, and I think both sides here, City and Liverpool, depending on how this Carabao Cup goes. Well, here's what's happening, right? So City are facing now the possibility, like, if Arsenal beat them in the Carabao Cup final, right? Then all of a sudden there's only three trophies on the table. If Real finish the job, right, and knock City out, now it's down to 2, meaning that FA Cup game is a much, much bigger game for them than may have been a couple of weeks ago, when the quad might have been on the table.
For us.
Yeah, 100%. What do we think? Are we saying Arsenal, Chelsea, City, and Leeds?
I something about West Ham, isn't there?
They're at home, which is always a.
I think West Ham at home will probably knock Leeds out.
Right.
I think again,
it depends on how this
relegation
you're going with
thing.
Chelsea, Arsenal.
Yeah, and I'd probably.
And then you're tossing a coin with you and City, really, but favouring them because they're home.
On where people are. Yeah, favouring them probably because they're home, yeah.
That's,
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting. Yeah, we shall see. 3 London clubs in either a Manchester or a Liverpool.
They won't have far to go for the semi-finals, will they?
No, they won't. There we go. Right, wanted to
Do
get
we
on
do we
to.
get to it? Do we get to a situation where we can have a City Arsenal final again in the FA Cup final?
Well, it wouldn't be unusual. We've done it a few times with Chelsea, haven't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
where we've strangled the domestic cups and stuff and all. Yeah. A lot of narrative out there at the moment. Last week's show we spoke about it as well. This slur at the Prem at times about how unattractive it is to watch, and there's a lot of talk out there on a lot of these channels, stuff like that. Do you feel with this one here, this is just like ex-Chelsea boy hate throwing shade at Arsenal? Or how do you feel about the comments? I would not spend any money to go and watch Arsenal. I would pay to watch Man City. Doku taking on players, Cherky, Phil Foden, Haaland. Who am I going to watch at Arsenal? How do you put that in context for me?
Yeah, I think there's a bit of both, to be honest with you. I think, as an ex-Chelsea player, you'll always take every opportunity you can to throw a little bit of shade in Arsenal's direction. But at the same time, there's a certain amount I agree with. I've heard numerous occasions when, journalists and pundits were talking to ex-Man United players and they said, Ferguson, he was so good tactically, and the United lads would say, was he? He wasn't really. And they said, but, the way he's able to come out and play and a lot of what comes out is the messages were quite simple. Like, go and get the lads off their seats. Go and make them want to watch what you're going to do. And I think it's true. There's some teams where you want to watch and you go, oh my God, wow, this is the team I want to watch because of how they play football. And then there's other teams that win. It's rarely, we've only seen it a couple of times where it's been the team that won that were the team that you wanted to watch. We've seen obviously Liverpool, you catch that lightning in a bottle moment a few years ago where not only is the best football playing team in the world, but you're also winning stuff. It happened with Barcelona previously. It happened with United, obviously, as well, where we were unbelievably playing great football, top football, and winning things. But they don't always go hand in hand. And that's where I said earlier on, like if Arsenal win a league title, is anybody at Arsenal going to say, oh, we didn't deserve that, or I wish we'd have won it with more goals, or, we could have played differently, or no, they're going to go, we haven't had a Premier League trophy in here in 20 years or whatever it is.
Do you know what I thought the interesting thing about this was as well? And I know at times we've seen Chelsea in the past play beautiful football. We have seen it. But at times as well, we can't deny the fact that they've shithoused their way to trophies in the past as well. You know what I mean? And I just thought this was kind of like the other quote was, I wouldn't recognise Arsenal as winners. For me, they've cheated their way to winning the Premier League.
Yeah, like I think that's stretchy, I really, it's not for me. But I do think, I think, what do I want to do? What do I want to achieve? How do I want to do it? For me, it's important. But at the end of the day, it's not the be all and end all either, because lifting that trophy is what's most important for Arsenal as a club and those fans.
Yeah, the way you mentioned getting people out of their seats.
Yep.
Are we seeing a situation in the Premier League now where there's through tactics or the coaching that's come in or whatever it is that being taken out of the game more and more now? Like, you think about me, if you think about me and you talking on this podcast week in, week out, is there like a handful or maybe two handful of players, and like, is there 10 players in the Premier League that get us out of our seat? Who we spoke about and stuff like that? Is there a lack of that now? Whereas, you would have
weird?
Had a lot of like.
Yeah, well, do you know what I think is weird? I think at times.
And before you answer, actually, I would stress as well, this is not just an Arsenal thing, because we heard Slot complain about this last week, and Slot deploys the exact same tactics. We're trying to crash the box now on corners and set pieces as well now.
I think once it became a viable option for everybody, they decided, right. Now, like, here's what I will say. Sometimes it's not necessarily the attacking players that are getting me off my seat these days, right? Because some of the defensive players are really, really good with the ball at their feet, right? And if we look at, say, a Mickey van de Ven, right? Mickey Van der Ven probably gets me up off my seat as much for what he does offensively as defensively. He's a good defender, tackles well, he's a good leader on the pitch and stuff like that. But at times I see Mickey Van der Ven with the ball at his feet and he starts to stride out of that defence. And all of a sudden he's ghosting past 3 or 4 lads with the ball at his feet and striding out. This 6'3", baller. And I'm like, hold on, what's this like? And you're starting to, I find it with him, the boy Murillo as well. He's almost 3 or 4 times in the last couple of years gone box to box and put it in the top bin. And a couple of times he's been let down by the finish at the last. But again, there's some players like that. I think, like, for me, if I look at my own team, I don't see a lack of players that get me off my feet or off the edge of my seat. Like, for me, if I look at Mbeumo, when Mbeumo gets the ball, I'm like, something could happen. Ahmad, something could happen. Cunha, something could happen. Bruno, I expect something to happen, right?
Big up, Dave. Hope you're good, pal.
There we go. Whereas maybe at other teams, I don't necessarily see the same thing. Like, if I look at Arsenal in comparison, there's not too many at Arsenal I go, here we go. Do you know what I mean? At Chelsea, you've obviously got the boy Palmer. I love the boy Estevao. He's been injured for the last few weeks. He's a kid that can get you up onto your seat. Pedro Neto. Liverpool have had a tough season this season offensively more than anything because it was so flowing. At times, the boy Ekitike I look at and go, oh my God, this kid is he's outrageous.
The young lad Rio.
The young lad Engamoa, he really good. Anthony Gordon, he's a guy. I have to tell you, by the way, the Newcastle game the other night, don't ask me how he didn't score or assist, but Anthony Elanga was tremendous. It was probably the best game I've seen him playing a black and white jersey. He tormented João Cancelo and Barcelona. And he was unlucky a couple of times. Not that, like, there are players there. I think the issue is
we've seen very little of it, haven't we, though, this season, if you think.
Well, I think the problem is with the money that's in the league now, right? It has become we can't really experiment with things anymore. You can't say we'll give that a try, see how it works out, because you lose 2 or 3 games like that, either the manager's getting hopped or you're down near the relegation zone and all of a sudden there's you know what I mean? Look at Spurs, how this is going down here. I think it's got to the stage where there's so much money on the line. It's hard for teams to be as expansive as they want to be because they know by being expansive, it's going to leave them exposed at the back and stuff like that.
And all,
The boy Semenyo gets me off my feet every time. Cherky, Jeremy Doku. Like, there is, I've named 12, 15 players there. There's definitely players that get me up off my feet and looking at it like that. But I just think it's done at a different level. We've no Ronaldos, we've no Messis, we've no, Iniestas or Xavis. It's different. They're different performances. They're more team performances rather than individual ones. Do you know?
Yeah, true. Right. Let's run it out then with predictions for the Premier League and First Division. So we'll start off. Bowes versus Galway.
You'd have to go with the league leaders at home, wouldn't you?
Are they at home this week? Or is this their first week out of there? Was
Bowes?
Last Friday night? I thought last Friday night was their last. Or maybe they said it's their last Dublin derby, isn't it? Their last Friday night Dublin derby. So maybe this is their last game.
Well, they're top here, so they are home.
No, I know they'll be regarded as being home because they're not in Galway, but they're moving out of Dalymount. I thought they were moving out after the first 5 games, so maybe this is the last game. I'm not too sure. But as far as I know, they're only playing.
I don't think it makes any odds for me.
Yeah.
I think league leaders playing well. Galway
can be the upstarts, though. We've seen
they can be tricky and stuff like that, but I don't see past Bowes really.
Bowes.
Yeah.
Derry versus Shelbourne.
Yeah, this will be probably the game of the weekend, I'd imagine. But I think, again, just because they're at home, I would favour Derry ever so slightly. So I'll go Derry 2-1.
Yeah, interesting and different start for Shelbourne as well. So Joey be feeling a little bit
Couple
of pressure
of draws and have dropped points and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Struggling to score goals a little bit, Shells. Need to do a little bit that side of it, you know.
Yeah. Dundalk, Waterford.
This will be the relegation battle, right? This is probably where we'll end up at the end of the season, you know, and games like this, and we'll have looked and gone, right, you know, these are the two that end up down the bottom. And because of that, these games they're going to be 6-pointers. You know, they're going to be 6-pointers. That's how I expect it to end up. They're 8th and 10th at the minute. I think Sligo will pick up and Galway will be all right. But I do think I fully expect Dundalk and Waterford to be there at the end of the season. So these are 6-pointers. If Dundalk want to try and stay in the league or at least make sure they get the playoff spot rather than the automatic relegation, they got to win these games against Waterford. So I go Dundalk because they're at home.
Okay. Pat Strada.
Yeah, Pats had a great win last weekend. Real good win for Pats last weekend. Going back home, started to just get a couple of lads back from injuries and free flowing and scoring football again from Pats. So I go Pats here.
And Sligo Rovers. Which is your live game on Virgin Media.
Yes, Sligo. Rovers haven't been great so far. You know, they're a slow starting team, but I don't expect much from Sligo. They'll flatter to deceive, but I don't think they'll get at now. I fully expect Rovers to come out with 3 points here.
Yeah, I think so, Phil. I think it's going to be a long one for Shells this season. It's going to be kind of indifferent. You'll get really good results, and then you'll have a couple of mediocre, and then another good result.
I still think there's a bit could be done on recruitment, Phil. I still think, you know, the recruitment could be better, and, you know, I think a couple more players to come in could help the situation massively. I know the boy, I'm going to click on his name here because I'll get it wrong either way. Boy, this lad, the lad they took in from Sweden looks a real tidy player. Lundgren, he's come in, and Mal Lundgren, his name is. He's Swedish. He's 24 years of age. This lad looks like a fabulous footballer. I don't know if Phil has seen much of this kid yet, but I think he's going to be a big performer with Shells for the rest of the season when he settles in, you know. But I think he need a little more time before he starts hitting the straps.
Let's look at Division 1 then. Athlone versus Cove. Storyline last week against Cork didn't quite go to plan. We thought Cork would be like on it, you know. But,
what score did it finish?
I think it finished 1-1, didn't it? I think it finished 1-1.
I couldn't tell you. It's too far down the live score to see.
It's right up nearly the top.
No, the Airtricity League is. The second one isn't. The first division is like, it's under the Azerbaijani Ladies League, and you're like, what score is this here?
Yeah, what I do was I go in and I search Ireland, and then I select the divisions, you see, so it's right at the top of mine on a Friday night. There we go.
Heska. I haven't seen much of the boy Heska. Am I missing something here? Hang on. No. And the boy Rodrigo Freitas looks good as well. Didn't come off the bench last night against him either. Freitas and Lundgren are the two that I really like the Shells, I have to say.
Yeah. I think Freitas got subbed the other night, didn't he? Because he picked up a card or something.
He didn't come on. He didn't play against Rovers.
I thought he was subbed off, and maybe I was watching the other one.
No, the game against Rovers, he started on the bench and didn't come on.
Well, it must have been the game before it, then he picked up the yellow and he got subbed off.
I'll tell you now, that was the game they lost against Pats.
Yeah, the 3-2. That's the one he got subbed
the game off and
got started the game. Picked up a yellow.
So there you go, right? So, and here's the crazy thing for me: starts against Pats, yeah, and starts against Pats and plays the first half, picks up a booking, comes off. Next game doesn't see daylight. Now, like, other than being injured, that's mental.
Yeah, maybe he
How
was
does
carrying
it?
a knock or something.
How
Who
does a
knows?
kid build a little bit of rhythm if
Yeah.
you're out, shake it all about?
Well,
Do you know what I
the
mean?
game against Pats wasn't a good game for him either. I mean,
No,
when I seen him being hooked, I wasn't surprised, and it wasn't just.
no. But
I didn't think it was just the booking.
You don't also go from a guy who's started one game to not even getting brought off the bench the next. That's unusual.
Yeah. Maybe Joey's kind of looking for a mix at the moment because he's it's been a little bit indifferent. So when it gets a little bit indifferent, you start trying different things. You start second guessing yourself, kind of. Bray Wanderers, Bray versus the Student UCD.
Bray.
Cork City versus Longford.
Cork.
Finn Harps Treaty.
Finn Harps.
And Wexford Kerry.
Wexford. Couldn't be any less excited about football fixtures than them five. I'm not going to lie.
Bray UCD would be a good game tomorrow night in the Carlisle grounds.
No, it won't.
If I thought the weather was all right, I might even go over and pop me tenner in the turnstile.
The weather won't be great, and the football will be even worse. Let's not forget.
He meant Mally Lundgren.
Yeah, he's very, very good, Phil. The boy Lundgren, he looks like a real footballer, I have to say. A real coup for Shells if if things go well and stuff like that for them with him, because he looks like he's good value for what they put out there from him. Have
you been doing anything at Cheltenham?
Couple of little winners this week. Nothing major. Yeah. We started, myself and my lovely lady wife started on Tuesday with €100 in the paddy. We put $100 in on Tuesday, and we've had a bet on Tuesday, a bet on Wednesday, a bet on Thursday, and we've still got 50 left out of our 100 for tomorrow.
It's all right. So you've had your bit of entertainment, and you're down only 50.
And we've had a couple of winners. I think the most notable winners and you know what? The winners we had were actually pretty decent prices. I had Kitzbühel yesterday at 11-1. Right? I had a $5 each way on him. I got 71 off of that. I had a $5 each way on Holloway Queen on Tuesday, which paid me 116 quid. So
you've been going back in then?
I've been going back in and dabbling, and we got a couple of places and bits like that. And there's a few things let us down, most notably Barcelona on Tuesday night. But and then we've been a little bit unlucky with some of the places and stuff like that. But we'll have another few tomorrow and see how we get on.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Ben was at the Dogs last Saturday. I don't know if I told you. Did I tell you this? He was at the Dogs last Saturday.
You might have told me,
yeah. And he was there. It was Sophie's grandmother's birthday, so they were there for the meal and all and stuff, And each race, he was sending me the race card. He was going, quick, 5 minutes ago, pick one. And I gave him 6 winners out of 9.
6 out of 9's not bad,
6 out of 9 I gave him, yeah. So he was delighted.
6 out of 9 is a real nice. That's a real nice night at the office, isn't it? Yeah, sure is.
And there were some good prices as well. Some really good prices I gave them as well. So there you go.
I struggle with the owl. I struggle with the Dogs now a little bit. Just because like everything is won or lost at that first corner.
Oh yeah.
And depending on how good, bad, or ugly that bump is, you can have a dog that goes off like an absolute train, but when they trap and get to that first corner and the bump kicks in, you're like,
yeah.
So it's a bit more pot lucky than, do you know?
Yeah. My dad used to race dogs years ago.
I knew that actually. Yeah, I knew that.
He got to Newbridge and all. Yeah, one year he won the Wolverhampton Cup over in Wolverhampton. Won the Wolverhampton Chase and all. Yeah, the trophies are probably down in my sister's place and all.
What year do we reckon that was?
That would have been the year of, when was the World Cup in Mexico? Was that 82, 86? That's the year, because the World Cup was on when we were over there. We stayed over there for about 2 weeks because a couple of strokes were being pulled. So we were there for 2 weeks.
I wonder, was Birmingham any less of a shithole at that stage than it is now?
Well, we were staying on a farm out in the sticks. So we were staying away from
with the carrot crunchers.
Yeah, we were out there staying away from the eye. You know, we didn't want to be seen, as they say, because obviously when the Irish pull up into town at the dog tracks over there, you know something's going down.
Absolutely,
So,
yeah. And it wasn't the climate to be Irish at that stage either over there, really.
I remember when I was 10, I think it was when I was 10, he had a beautiful dog. It was, you know, the white ones with the brindle patches.
Oh yeah.
And he had a big one now. This was a big, for a greyhound, this was a big dog. He was pure muscle and stuff. And he was trialing them. You know the way they do the trials, the practice runs during the day. He was over in Harold's Cross doing a practice one, and the dog came off the third bend, and there was a wire sticking out. And the wire caught the dog in the middle of the chest and tore its whole insides out in the middle of the track. Horrific. He was the only owner. I don't know what year this was. I was about 10, so it would have been 82 or 83 or something. He was the only dog owner at the time that actually sued the racing board over. Yeah. It caught him right there in the middle of the chest. You know, greyhound in the middle of the chest.
I can feel it. I can feel it, Noel.
Opened them up. Very, very sad. A beautiful dog as well. Beautiful dog. There you go.
Jesus. Oh, that was
maybe that's what later in life accentuated my love for dogs and stuff like that. How I loved them so much.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. Yeah. Wow, that was graphic. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. It was a rough day.
You took that to a weird place, Noel.
I did. We got a little bit off the beaten track there.
You took that to a weird place. Yeah. You sidetracked there. Yeah, pretty good.
Absolutely.
Oof.
Yeah. So that's it. All good. Another show in the bag. I don't think I've had a plan for the weekend, but I'm just beginning to wonder whether I should do a watch along for the Spurs game, because it might be a little bit enjoyable. At that stage, you might drop into the bottom three.
Well, it might be more enjoyable than some of the games you've watched recently.
Well, much more enjoyable than Galatasaray, and certainly much more enjoyable than the Wolves game. There you go.
Come see.
Yeah. Do you want to end the show seeing as you started it? Being the host, go ahead.
What would you like me to say?
Whatever normally we say at the end of the show.
Like and share it out, guys. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Catch Niall on the Shankly sessions on the Liverpool one. He'll be queuing us up for the weekend. Tomorrow morning. And then come back for match reaction on Sunday night. Monday night we'll have the results, and then all the wrestling shows during the week with Bren and all the gang.
Brilliant. There you go. Can't ask for any more than that. And with that in mind, we'll talk to you again real soon. Cheers.